All right, today we're jumping into an ancient prayer that honestly feels like it could have been written this morning. It's a raw, honest look at one of the toughest fights any of us will ever face, and that's the one happening right inside our own heads.
So let me just ask you straight up, who is your greatest enemy? You might think of a person, a competitor, some kind of outside pressure. But what if the source of our biggest struggles is actually a lot closer to home?
So to really get this, we need to see where it comes from. The psalm right before this one, Psalm 140, is all about dealing with attacks from the outside. But then we get to Psalm 141, and there's this massive pivot. The battlefield completely shifts. It's no longer about the world out there, it's about the landscape inside our own hearts. The enemy isn't them anymore, it's the temptation living inside me.
So, how does the psalmist even begin to fight this internal battle? Well, it's not with some big, confident strategy. No, it's with a desperate cry for help. His first move is to turn his prayer into a powerful, sacred offering.
You can just feel the urgency here, can't you? This is not a polite, casual request. That phrase, "come quickly to me," is pure desperation. It's the cry of someone who's right on the edge, feeling like they can't possibly hold on for another second without help.
And out of that desperation comes this beautiful idea. He takes his prayer and elevates it. He asks that it be like incense, that fragrant smoke rising up, and that his raised hands would be like the official evening sacrifice at the temple. He's basically saying, God, please let this messy, personal cry from my heart be just as holy as the most sacred ritual.
And this isn't just nice poetry. It has deep historical roots. For centuries, this psalm was adopted as a standard evening prayer in both Jewish and early Christian traditions. It became the perfect way to end the day, admitting your weakness and offering your very breath back to God. It's a powerful reminder that real worship isn't about being in a special building. It's about the posture of your heart wherever you are. Okay, so after that initial cry for help, the prayer shifts gears. It becomes this really practical, defensive strategy. The psalmist starts asking for very specific ways to guard against his own weak spots.
Now, notice what this is not. This isn't a New Year's resolution. He's not just saying, okay, I promise I'm going to be more careful with what I say. No, this is a humble admission of weakness. He's saying, I can't do this alone. You have to be the guard, because I know my own willpower just isn't going to cut it.
The original Hebrew word here is pasukun, which means a sentry, a gatekeeper, a guard. It's this powerful military metaphor. The psalmist sees his own mouth as a city gate. It's a vulnerable spot where evil can get out through hurtful words or temptation can get in. So he's asking God to post a divine soldier right there on duty.
But the defense goes deeper than just the lips, right? It goes straight to the source, the heart. The prayer is, don't even let my heart start to lean towards what's wrong. He knows that subtle pull of temptation. Maybe it's seeing the success or the rich food of others and feeling that little seed of envy. He's asking God to stop that whole downward spiral before it even gets started.
All right, what comes next is one of the most challenging and honestly one of the most radical ideas in this entire psalm. The psalmist points to a source of strength that, let's be real, most of us try to avoid at all costs. So the psalm sets up this really stark contrast. On one side, you've got the rich food of the wicked. It's a metaphor for that tempting but totally corrupt lifestyle. And on the other side, you have something that sounds, painful, the oil of a good person's correction.
And here it is. Get this. The psalmist says he would rather be struck by a righteous person than feast with the wicked. He sees honest criticism not as an attack, but as a kindness, like a precious healing oil. That is a wild shift in mindset. It's actually welcoming accountability as a gift, something that keeps you from wandering down a really destructive path.
So after pleading for help, asking for a guard, and even welcoming correction, the psalm takes a really dark turn. The writer starts to paint this picture of complete and utter hopelessness, not just for himself, but for his whole community.
The image here is just incredibly bleak. It's like a battlefield after a total slaughter. Our bones are scattered. This is bigger than just a personal struggle now. It's this feeling of complete societal collapse. It's that moment when you look around and you just think, it's over. There is absolutely no hope left.
And this is the climax of the entire psalm. Right at that moment of deepest despair, when everything seems totally lost, the writer reveals his ultimate strategy. But my eyes are fixed on you. This is the whole turning point.
The most powerful thing you can do when you're in a crisis is to deliberately shift your focus away from the size of your problem and onto the greatness of your refuge.
So what in the world does this all mean for us today? Well, this ancient prayer actually lays out a timeless strategy for winning that battle inside. Let's just break it down into a clear takeaway.
The strategy is actually pretty simple. First, don't just ask for help, run to God with the urgency of someone whose life depends on it. Second, humbly admit you can't guard yourself and ask for a divine gatekeeper for your heart and your mouth. And third, when things are at their absolute worst, you have to intentionally fix your eyes on God, not on the chaos swirling around you.
At the end of the day, this is the main takeaway. Prayer isn't some passive act of just wishing for things. In the world of Psalm 141, prayer is an active, powerful spiritual weapon. It's the tool you actually use to defend your heart, refocus your mind, and fight and win the battle within.
And that brings us to the final challenge, right? The psalmist used this as an evening prayer and evening sacrifice. So the question it leaves us with is a really pointed one. In our own lives, when the day is done, where do we turn? Do we lose ourselves in the endless scroll of a screen, or do we arm ourselves for tomorrow's battle by offering up a prayer just like this one?